Let's see what's coming up for the collective this March. Today is the new moon in Pisces. Yesterday I was walking around the rush hour time, around 6 p.m. in the evening, and everybody was getting off the subway and they were navigating their way home, taking various routes. And I guess I was already sort of thinking about chaos energy. I posted on my Instagram yesterday a card trying to answer a question I had about what is the purpose of the somewhat chaotic energy in the collective at the moment. Things felt a bit bizarre yesterday, nonsensical, and even a little bit dystopian. But I was watching hundreds of people, myself included, navigating our way home. And I got to thinking about the effect of when we're kind of just moving in an unconscious way, we're just walking in harmony, nobody's banging into each other, it's all very seamless. And I know there's been experiments about this, right? The effect of the flow state and how everybody is in some sort of a little bubble or vacuum on their own, and they're moving and we're not colliding basically. And I know there's like pendulum in a vacuum kind of experiments demonstrating this. They're really captivating to watch actually. And I didn't witness it, but I knew that if somebody was to stop and get distracted and pull out their phone, well, things would start to get a little unpredictable and the agent of chaos would enter, right? So it made me really think about the importance of staying in your bubble. It made me think about, regardless of what path you're walking, what journey you're on, or where you're going, if you move in your own space, at your own time, you're going to be in harmony. So the South Node is in Virgo right now, ruled by Mercury. And the shadow energy of Virgo actually is a lot to do with distraction. So not letting ourselves get distracted as we flow in harmony. And I don't know, maybe it's because Virgo is ruled by Mercury and that's a lot of mental overstimulation, but I think people tend to think like distraction and procrastination might even be something a little bit more Piscean, and that's where the North Node is right now in Pisces. I probably would argue against that. So today's new moon in Pisces is ruled by Neptune. The North Node is in Pisces, also ruled by Neptune. I think Neptune is that bubble, that vacuum, reminding us to go at our own time, go in our own timeline, at our own pace. And that way we're not creating chaos. There is less of an unpredictability maybe, I don't know, but it's just something to do with the harmony that I noticed when we were all just moving and flowing together. There's so much of, I guess, well, when the South Node is in Virgo, it's actually asking us to figure out where we're in misalignment in Virgo energy, and all of the overstimulation and messages, Mercury, right? All of the news bulletins and the kind of bizarre storylines and visuals that are coming through in the collective at the moment. I got to think, and I know astrologer Pam Gregory talks a lot about this, and I follow her work, and she talks so much about kind of just staying on your ego's perch and observing the big picture. Also, she paid a lot of mind to talk about how maybe futile it is to get too caught up in, you know, what's going on in the news cycle and things like that, because we can't really do a lot to change anything like that. What we can do is change our own reality, and that's going to be helpful on an individual level. And take it or leave it, I'm just sharing something that resonated with me. we're entering eclipse season now. This new moon in Pisces is in fact the opening of the eclipse season portal. And I think it's astrologer Eliza Kelly that calls the eclipses during eclipse season the hot spots. So we're in eclipse season energy now, but the hot spots when the eclipses fall are on the 14th of March with the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, and on the 29th of March with the solar eclipse new moon in the sign of Aries. That's going to be the last of the Aries-Libra sequence of eclipses. So this is a time of beginnings and endings. And without further ado, I want to look to the tarot now and ask about what we need to know for March. It's eclipse season, so it's a biggie. I have made a year ahead reading for each sign of the zodiac, which is going to be found on my channel, looking at 2025 month by month for each sign, if you want to have a look at that. Also, now would be a great time to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. The Nine of Swords. So things can look a little bit scary sometimes. The Queen of Coins, but in reverse. And the Seven of Cups. This looks a lot more like chaos than harmony. I'm not really surprised. The Judgment at the bottom of the deck is known as an awakening energy, right? I wonder if all of this chaos and bizarre and almost, you know, there's an uncanniness, there can be a sort of jarring, kind of harrowing quality of what we're witnessing at times, and I wonder how much collectively we are oriented now towards the awakening from many illusions. You know, there's so much pressuring us to take a side, but I don't really think that that's the answer. I think that we are being called to see the clown show, for want of a better expression, for what it truly is, for what it has always been, and find a sense of personal empowerment. And in the chaos that seems to be really, with the Seven of Cups, like, it can be quite tantalizing. It can be tempting to indulge. Always, it's very tempting to indulge in the Seven of Cups, but the Seven of Cups is a whole lot of mess, a whole lot of nonsense. It's just an illusion. Like this Nine of Swords, I think that creepy hand in the background is nothing more than a branch of a tree, but when there is a layer of deception, be it coming from the media, be it coming from all angles really at this time, I think, but the media is definitely a big one, isn't it? It's very hard to see things for what they are, to see things objectively. And I think that if we were to turn on the light within us a little bit more and recognize that everybody is, and I mean every single spiritual text, every single major spiritual school of thought, all bottlenecks with the one sort of consensus accepted reality that we're really all one. And that everybody that is incarnated on the timeline that we're on at this time is playing a role, and we may not like it, we may love it, we may align with it or against it, but everybody is serving a purpose at this time. And Pisces is all about that togetherness. Pisces is all about the transcendence of the ego and the lower mind into something that can, like I said, Pam Gregory talks about this eagle's perch, a higher vantage point. And it can be really difficult, I think, to get there because the emotional and mental manipulation that is going on as well. The Nine of Swords talks about a little bit of emotional or mental manipulation. Okay, let's take this card by card now and look at March through the lens of these cards. So I think that there can be a lot of anxiety when we see the Nine of Swords. There can be a lot of overthinking and mental turmoil. And I think that might be something that we're kind of all very aware of on whatever sort of sliding scale that this applies to you on, but we might be aware of ourselves and our own overthinking, or we might be aware of people in our family or people around us that have had a lot of anxiety and worries. I know I'm hearing people that I'm close to have pretty catastrophic sort of senses of worrying and things like that, but the Nine of Swords tries to remind us of what types of fears are not based in reality. The Nine of Swords is very much to do with the monkey mind and the kind of like spiralic and pretty useless effect of jumping from one negative thought to another. The Nine of Swords is saying that while this is a worrying energy that's emerging for us in the collective right now, all is truly not what it seems. That scary looking hand coming in is nothing more than a branch. But in the moment, it can be pretty terrifying. I get that. So the Queen of Coins in the reversal. There's a lot of pride in the Queen of Coins in the reversal. Upright, she's of course a very dignified character, very embodied. But in the reversal, it becomes quite haughty, quite self-righteous. But pride is a big one I'm seeing here. And I've been there. I've been on the, I think it was when the North Node was in Gemini and the South Node was in Sagittarius. So what was that? Mid-2020. And that was activating my 9th house of my beliefs and the 3rd house of my information, how I processed information and the kind of information I was attuned to. And I did an absolute 180 in the time that the nodes were transiting my 9th and 3rd house. And for me, it was a real sense of a fall from grace on a kind of personal level in terms of like my beliefs, my ideas. And it was one of the first times in my life where it shook me to the core how, in my eyes, misguided and blinded I had been to truths that were available, that were written on the wall, right? But because of my pride, I found it hard to access them at the time. The Queen of Coins could be reminding us that truth is objective, and that, I mean, if you didn't notice this in 2020, I don't know when would have been a more appropriate time to make this realization, but well, it's never too late, or it's never not written on the wall. I suppose it was written on the wall probably long before 2020, before I was able to discern something else. That, you know, everybody lives in a totally alternate reality to ourselves. And that was abundantly clear. So why not have a little bit of the Pisces energy? The North Node is calling us towards a bit more compassion, a bit more grace, a bit more forgiveness. And eventually, I think that that will create more harmony in your life. If you're anything like me, any sort of clash in personal life of opinions, it can be kind of, it's kind of a difficult one. And I do find that we can't all agree on everything, and that wouldn't be a very real human experience. But I think it can create a lot of disharmony when we are too haughty. And so, for example, whatever the dominant paradigm of a current belief system is, and it's usually the one that's on the mainstream media, I find that people have such a fluidity around just expressing that dominant paradigm to whoever would listen, without even considering that the person they're talking to would maybe not even agree with this at all. Whereas if you do dissent from any dominant paradigm in any sort of area of life, from politics to health to religion to ideologies, to personal choices around your family, your relationships, whatever it may be. I often think that the dominant paradigm acceptors, let's call them, have zero trouble or issue like just announcing as if their truth or their opinion is just accepted. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think there could be offense taken if those people who have an alternate and potentially unpopular viewpoint were to express their views in the same way. Maybe great offense could be taken. Maybe I'm just being Queen of Coins in reverse here now and being a little more prideful, so you can call me out on that. So the Seven of Cups. March continues to be a somewhat illusionary, deceptive and confusing month on the surface. It's Pisces season. This is the sign that rules deception and illusion. It also reveals the unseen truths and mysteries of the universe. The Seven of Cups is all about seeing beyond the veil. If you can see the middle cup here, the wings that are presented are the same as on the Judgment card that came through at the bottom of the deck. Will you allow yourself to be awakened from the dominant paradigm? Would you allow yourself to see past the veil of illusion, no matter how psychologically unraveling that might be? Queen of Coins in reverse cares quite a lot about status and reputation, cares quite a lot to the shadow element of materialism as well. And there is a sort of, let's call her kind of a Karen energy. And I don't mean to offend anybody by saying that, but you know what I mean, you know, this is Karen in reverse, right? And I think that March is going to, the clown show is going to ramp up even further. It's eclipse season, it's Pisces season. I speak like this as a Pisces myself. But on the other side of the deception, the illusion, what's playing through the sound waves and on the TV screen, Pisces also rules photography, television, that sort of modality, which of course is, you know, technically all an illusion anyway. There are great truths to be revealed, and the Judgment card at the bottom of the deck suggests that they come through on a much deeper level of consciousness when we ask to see. The comic. Well, there you go. That's the clownery. That's the tomfoolery. What does it say? Oh, yeah, so what I would suggest is the truth will be revealed to those who seek it. I'm not necessarily a religious person, you know. I wouldn't describe myself in a sense as religious, but one day I got into a taxi in Manhattan and I was chatting to the driver, and he was Christian. I don't know what denomination he was, but he quoted something from the Bible. This was before I had a kind of spiritual awakening, for sure. So I was chatting away, and I don't know what the verse was, I'm sorry, but it was something to do with seeking the truth anyway, but he just mentioned it to me. You know, people who read the Bible, they're pretty interested in sharing with you what they know, right? Much like people who read the tarot and astrology, I guess. And I don't know what it was exactly, the quote, but it was something, you probably have heard it. It was familiar to me, even though I had never probably read it before that. Something about knock and the door shall open. And it was basically about, you know, truths will be revealed once you choose to see them and seek them out. I don't know if it was coincidental or just a synchronicity that I met that taxi driver who shared that with me. probably during a Pisces season. I think it was Pisces season 2018, the onset of my spiritual awakening. The Joker, the Clown, the Fool. The comic carries a remedy for all that ails this world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there is always the potential to lift up and out of darkness through laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a highly advanced mind. Some may use the word genius, as humor requires one to see the situation from afar rather than be swept away by the drama. I think this is really spot on to the message that I wanted to bring forward today. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life. Hello, Seven of Cups. Using it to be a material mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and serious mind. They literally lighten us up. Thus within the comic usually is a sage or a magician working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be an archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. I think that was so perfect. I'm delighted that that card came through. The comic has plenty of shade to throw on others, and it can fall into shadow at the drop of a hat. Beware of their sharp claws. Joy, jokes and smiles are a sign of a happy heart. Be wary of spiritual practices or teacher who leave the comic by the wayside. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe. Happy new moon in Pisces, and check out your 2025 year ahead reading for your sun sign. You'll find it on my channel. Bye.